everyone, my name is Sally Fowler. I'm the owner and trainer for Disabled Advantage Dog Training. Thank you for joining me on my Patreon podcast, Service Dog Questions Answered. In this question, I'm going to be talking about what should I focus on for training my service dog in training puppy. This is a topic that increasingly is really important to me, and it's one that I'm really passionate about because I keep seeing and hearing what people are starting their young puppies on for service dog life, and it makes me cringe. And it makes me feel kind of bad for the puppy and for the owners because there's a lot of really critical information and details that are being left out that aren't being told to new puppy owners, and especially aren't being told to new service dog owners as to what they should be focusing on. And a lot of times the important details are getting missed, and it ends up being a bigger problem later on, even if it doesn't feel like a problem when they're working with their puppy now. It does cause very real problems later on when you try to teach the dog more complex subject matter and more complex concepts, and when you start to ask more things of the dog. Um, Puppy training traditionally, like if you hear about puppy class, it's learning to be around other puppies, and it's um, learning sit and down and stay and come and leave it and place. And I'm not saying those things don't have value. They absolutely have value. But there's no rush to teach them to a 2-month-old puppy. And that's what more and more people are focusing on, is let's teach our 2, 3, 4 month old puppy how to do all the words that older dogs are doing. And it leads to problems. You skip over stuff, and the biggest problem with it is that we're inadvertently encouraging owners to rush their dog's training and to just skip over helping their dog develop as the dog develop mentally alongside the dog developing physically. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on in this podcast today. Puppy training. I have a course dedicated to helping people train puppies for either pet dog life or service dog life. And originally, I didn't want to get into training puppies from the beginning because it's a very big proposition. There's a lot to cover. There's a lot of information to teach. There's a lot of things the owner needs to be aware of. There's a lot of developmental changes that a puppy goes through that do impact the training. And the rules for training a puppy change as the puppy gets older. And that's a complicated thing to teach to other people, and it also is very easy to get confused on and get things turned around, especially if what you're used to is older dogs. So teaching people how to teach puppies is complex, but now that I've done it a few times, I really do feel more passionately about doing it and helping owners know what's important for their puppies to know and learn as soon as possible, and what can wait in terms of training. And I feel more equipped to help people navigate all of the ups and downs with puppy life and work through a lot of the common problems that puppy owners do have. It is a big project starting a puppy, but that doesn't mean it's not a worthwhile project, and I have thoroughly enjoyed working with puppies the last few times that I have. So in my training course for puppies, I don't teach people how to teach sit, down, stay, or place. The primary focus of my puppy course are socialization, games, balance and coordination, building a relationship with the owner, and learning how to do stuff and learning manners in the home. And that's it. And that doesn't sound like a bunch of stuff, but it actually is a lot of stuff. We add on new games and new activities every week or every other week, and by the end of the course, we've built up a really confident, self-assured puppy who isn't fazed by new experiences, who's fine going to different places, who's okay with being bored, who's polite in the home, and who outshines a lot of other puppies who got a ton of focus on words and less focus on here's how to be a puppy, here's how to not be a jerk, here's how to exist in the home with us, here's how to be awesome and confident, and things like that. So, the first thing I focus on is socialization. And socialization is a massive topic. If you listen to my previous podcast question on socialization, it's a massive topic. And it's even more so massive for puppies. And with puppies, it's extremely critical. We need to cram in as much socialization and exposure and experiences for our puppies in that 2 to 6 month window as we possibly can. Um, and even in the before they turn a year old, as much as we possibly can. Now, it does start to get a little tricky with puppies because puppies have to go through a vaccination series to help prepare their bodies for all the different types of diseases they might encounter. And unlike adult dogs who can get a shot once every 3 years or once a year, puppies need to build up their immunity to stuff. So they get vaccinations in series. But a lot of vets teach to not take your dog places while they're going through their vaccination series. Fortunately, more and more vets are getting different education on this and they're learning no, yes, we do need to do socialization. Here's how to do socialization safely, which is fantastic. But for a really long time, vets were all about don't take your puppy anywhere because they could get sick, it could ruin the vaccination cycle, and just keep your dog at home. But what that does is it creates a dog who doesn't know how to handle new situations and doesn't know how to work through fear or stress and may have a harder time adjusting to outside home life. And so, luckily, now more and more vets are better educated on this subject, which is awesome. And there are ways to socialize your puppy safely. So, what I teach people to do is first of all, I teach people various methods for socialization. I give them checklists of things to a way to keep track of what your dog has gotten exposure to and what your dog hasn't gotten exposure to so that you know where you need to work on and what needs to get strengthened and what are problem areas. And with puppies, it starts, there's a big list for at home and there's a big list for in public. And the big list at home includes everything from being able to walk past or lay near the dishwasher while it's running to having their paws handled, wearing gear, riding in the car, seeing a door open and close, seeing cabinets open and close, hearing people run around the house, seeing things move all of a sudden, seeing your cats and not trying to chase them or jump on them. And just all of the stuff that's in your home that we take for granted as just this is home, we have to teach our puppies how to also see it as this is home. This is normal. This is not anything that's a big deal or anything for me to worry about. And also, how to, if you notice your dog has booked it out of the room and is hiding underneath your bed, getting them out from underneath the bed, pinpointing whatever they reacted to, working them around that, getting them to where they don't react to it anymore, and continuing to work on that until going and running under their bed is not their go to move, but rather they see it, they go, oh, that happened. And then they go back to sleep or go back to chewing on their toy or whatever they were doing. Socialization outside the house is getting them used to road traffic and stores and smells and sights and sounds and all of the different types of people and animals and everything, and staying focused on you during all of it. The safe way to do socialization includes using a stroller, using a backpack that the dog stays in so they stay off the ground, having a crate in like a wagon that you pull around behind you. I encourage a lot of people to just sit up in their car, have the dog in the car crate or the car harness. Well, really young puppies need to be in a car crate because the harnesses are not designed for them and they usually won't fit them. So having your dog in the car crate and just having the car door open so that your dog can hear and smell and see various things in a parking lot or by a outdoor sports arena, but they aren't being forced to interact with it directly. They're just getting used to it, basically. And so socialization takes up a big part of my puppy course. It's something I really, really stress. If you do nothing else with your puppy, focus on socialization. Focus on taking them to a lot of different places and asking them to exist there and asking them to be confident and just hang out and be chill. If you can get your puppy to take naps in coffee shops, fantastic. Do it. If you can get your puppy to take naps at the foot of your feet while you're in class or while you're at work, and then you go out every 2 hours for a potty break and a play break, great, do that. But socialization is super, super important for puppies. It's when they're taking in the most information and coding it in as to how I should act about this, how I should handle it, and how I should conduct myself. Puppies are they're children. If you wouldn't expect a 10-year-old to attend college classes or attend high school classes, then don't expect a puppy to learn commands and be able to do them reliably and do them with duration and do them with distractions. It's not fair. And frankly, it doesn't matter. Right now, it does not matter if your dog knows sit. It does not matter if your dog can go to place. And that is going to irritate the hell out of some people, and I don't care. It does not matter. What matters is your dog being well socialized. What matters is your dog knowing what a leash is and how to walk on it nicely next to you without biting on it or resisting the pressure of moving forward. How to wait at doorways, how to wait for their meal to be put down, how to not use you as their personal chew toy, how to not pee in the house, setting up a potty schedule, setting up a routine, being okay with hanging out in their crate, being okay with being separated with you, learning how to hang out and exist when you have friends over and it's not getting attention. All of those things matter so much more than if your dog knows down or stay. I don't teach the word stay anywhere ever, anyways. I teach what I call the implied stay, where if I ask you to be in a command, I mean for you to stay there until I give you a new command or release you. But with puppies, I really focus on teaching my clients how to teach their dogs how to do stuff. So, how to move on a leash, how to drag a leash, what a leash is, what a collar is, what to do when they feel the collar tighten, and then what happens when the collar loosens because the dog did the right thing, what praise means, what yes markers mean, what no means, when corrections get used, and teaching my clients how to, a 2-month-old puppy gets a different kind of correction or a different intensity of correction than a 6-month-old puppy does. And so guiding them through that process as well. We focus on, we don't need, okay, so with adult dogs, we teach place because it's a place to go settle. It's where we send them when somebody comes to the door. It's where we send them after a walk to process how the walk went and to relax and settle back down. It's how we manage the dog during the day so that they don't find creative uses for their energy. But with puppies, they shouldn't be free in your house. They're children. They're baby sharks. They're gonna eat stuff that's bad for them. So, the safe way to raise a puppy in your home and teach them home manners, teach them how to act in your house, teach them right from wrong, set up rules, and like really, really basic, easy to understand rules for your puppy is to use crates, have crates in different rooms, use house gates, use X pens. Those are 8-paneled wire or plastic pens. They're kind of like play pens for toddlers, but they're for puppies. Set those up. And if your dog is always in a crate, in an X pen, or on a leash that you are holding, nothing else. The only time your puppy is off leash is maybe if they're playing with another dog in a fenced in yard. That's it. Other than that, your dog is always in a crate, in an X pen, or on some kind of a leash that you are holding. Might be a long line for playtime, might be a long line for training, might be a short leash for in-house work. But they're never free. There is no need for place. No need. Now, the concept of go here and settle down, definitely. But they're going to get that with crate, X pen, and every time you have your meals or do homework or do work at home or watch TV, if you're holding the leash, the expectation is, hey, puppy, fall asleep at my feet. Your dog is going to learn how to do that. And that is also learning how to be bored. It's learning how to settle. Doing all of this stuff when your dog is a puppy and they're learning and they're soaking in so much information helps teaching place to an adult dog so much easier later on. But the words are not strictly needed. They're not. When your puppy is a puppy, and by puppy I mean 2 to 7 months old, okay? 2 to 7 months old, you are managing every second of this dog's life. You're setting up a routine for them. You set up potty breaks, you set up meal time, you set up training time, you set up game time, you set up socialization time. You control every single minute of the dog's day so that you are able to teach them right from wrong. Now, do they get opportunities to make mistakes? Oh yes, you bet. They get so many opportunities to make mistakes because if we robbed them of that opportunity, they would never learn right from wrong and more problems would happen. So at various points, your dog might be dragging a leash around the house, but still confined to one room. And so in that instance, if they head for the garbage can, you just pick up the leash, give it a little pull, guide them back to you, and they learn, oh, I can't go near the trash can. After a bunch of repetitions of that, they don't learn it immediately. But we focus on setting up your home life to prevent problems with your dog. We focus on teaching the basics of stuff, how to not go through doorways with excitement. So how to go through doorways calmly. If your dog is nervous about going through doorways, first we get them confident about going through doorways, and then we teach them how to have patience at doorways. And we don't do that by saying sit. We do that by going to a door, opening the door, and just not letting the dog go through it until they're calm. And then we go through the door. And if they start pulling, we stop, halfway through the door and we wait until the dog is calm. And then we go through the door. Putting the dog in a sit before you go through the door doesn't necessarily teach the dog to be calm. It just teaches them to sit at the door. But opening the door and preventing them from making those choices by giving a correction in the moment helps them learn, oh, I should wait at doorways. I should not rush through doorways. Is it a slower process? Yes. Do I care? No. You are waiting for your bread to finish rising so you can bake it. Okay? Now, no, I'm not advocating for eating your dog. Please don't get the wrong idea here. But you're waiting for bread to rise. There's only so much cheating you can do to make that happen faster than it's going to naturally happen. So there's no reason to try and rush your puppy through learning this stuff. You need to wait for your puppy to finish rising. And that takes time. And so in that time, let's make the most of it. Let's take our time to teach them manners, to teach them about life, to teach them about socialization, to build up their confidence, to build up their understanding of these big concepts we're going to ask them to do later, like sit for 5 minutes and hang out in a checkout line and walk by a shopping cart and walk next to road traffic and not rush into the road and stuff like that. Let's take the time to teach it right. Let's not rush people. Let's not rush owners to learn all this stuff. Because when you get a puppy, when you're training a puppy, one thing that also just, there's a lot of things, but one thing that does also irritate me is that too few trainers focus on the dog. There are a lot of good trainers who focus on the dog and the person, but there's also a lot of trainers who don't focus on the person. And in my course, I want to make sure that you, the owner, know how to handle a leash, feel confident handling a leash, feel confident going out into public, feel like you know how to talk to public when they ask you questions about what you're doing, how to say, no, you can't pet my dog, and how to stand by it, how to protect your dog from off-leash dogs, how to look at something and go, yes, that's a problem I need to talk to my trainer about, or no, that's not a problem, I've got this, everything's fine. And that takes time too. So whenever we're working with your puppy, it's not just about you raising this puppy. It's about you also learning how to be a good handler for your puppy. And that happens together. Another thing I focus on for puppy training is balance and coordination and games. So there are training exercises, but they're all formatted like games. We practice recalls, we practice fetch, we practice tug, but they're all shaped and written like games and less like drills. There's a lot of food involved because puppies are hungry, so it's the easiest way to motivate them. Sometimes they get too excited about toys, and food is an easier way to motivate them. But there are also a lot of toys used. Once we teach them the basic stuff, though, once we teach them their ABCs, we start to cut out the food and make stuff harder, and we raise the expectation level. But when they're still learning the basic building blocks of how to be the dog we need them to be, we're not putting a lot of heavy pressure on them to do stuff without food. We also don't have the bar super high. I don't care if you sit, but I do care that you're not jumping on me, mouthing on me, and barking when I'm trying to put your food down. If the dog happens to sit, awesome. Bonus points for that. But that's not my goal. My goal is just, I need you to be less of a jerk, and I need you to be calmer and have your wits about you. We learn how to walk on a leash, but it's like a 5-minute exercise, not a 30-minute walk. Puppies are also growing. And I think that's something that gets skipped over a lot. But puppies are growing. And whether you got a small breed or a large breed, how fast they're growing changes. But they're still growing. And, when I was growing, my parents enrolled me in stuff like gymnastics and swimming so that I got different ways to learn how to use my body and strengthen my muscles and use my mind and solve problems. And that helped me grow up into a healthy, strong person. Toddlers are given games like put the rectangle block in the rectangle hole, etc. So, those are also the kinds of games we need to create for our puppies to help develop their bodies properly and to help develop their brains properly. So, my course includes a lot of problem solving games, hide and seek games. Everything's formatted like a game as much as possible to try and keep things fun, but to also try and keep things lower pressure for the puppies because they are young, they're babies, they're learning. We take that into account with everything that we're doing. We learn sensations and start to do early balance disc work. Nothing that's going to be too stressful for their little bodies to do, but we start doing things like front end awareness, hind end awareness, how to walk on different terrains, how to walk on different textures, how to hold different textures of toys in their mouth, going swimming as a way to exercise and develop muscle without being very impactful on their growing joints. I encourage people to take walks in harnesses. If the dog learns to pull in a harness, fantastic. Good for that little dog. It's a great way to go on a sniff walk, and right up until the dog is strong enough to pull you over, it's relatively safe. Once the dog learns how to walk on a leash, then we start working more on what collar pressure means and walking on a collar for short bursts of time. Puppies' bodies are not strong enough to walk on concrete and asphalt for long periods of time, and so that's taken into account too. But the reason I say it's okay for them to learn to pull into a harness is that harnesses are full for pulling, especially for service dogs. I want them to learn, hey, harness, I should pull. But if they feel the collar, we teach you don't pull into this. And so there's a very clear distinction between the two of those. We also teach really basic things like how to have your face held, how to hold still for having your claws done, how to hold still for being brushed, how to hold still for being shaved if you're a poodle or a similar breed. How to be okay with getting baths, how to go up and down stairs in very short bursts, and things like that. Some of the balance and agility stuff I do is just really basic walking on a balance beam that's 3 inches off the ground. It's a little bit of height, it's a little bit of wobble, but it's not going to be bad for them if they fall off of it. And all of these things are cumulative. They all work together. If your dog is having trouble with something, we say, hey, let's try it on the balance beam, or hey, let's go play the balance beam, or let's go crawl through some tunnels for a little while and get your dog re-engaged with what we're doing, and then let's go try the harder thing real quick. And it's been my experience that this course is extremely successful for building a confident dog who is healthy, who is stable mentally and physically, and who's primed to then learn commands and do things with more focus and more intention and higher expectations. Because the way I teach commands too is with an expectation of we're going to do this for 15 seconds. We're going to do this for 30 seconds, and then a minute, and then 2 minutes, and then 5 minutes. And we build up time, and we build up distraction, and we build up the distance the dog is from the handler. It's harder because we're building service dogs. And so the primer is the puppy course, and it gets them ready for the harder stuff while giving them a chance to be puppies to take naps and to play games and to go on adventures and to get socialization and to be puppies. It's hard to watch training courses that focus a ton on, yep, my 4-month-old puppy knows this, 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 and this command. Okay, what games are you playing? It runs in the yard. That's just. Games are such a great way for puppies to learn. And you can do a lot of really important lessons in a game format. It's hard for me to see owners being robbed of the opportunity to have fun with their puppy and learn how to set up their home life for success when their puppy is still like 15 or 20 pounds as opposed to 80 pounds. When an 80-pound dog has a stronger tantrum about something than a 15 or 20-pound dog was going to have. Setting up the puppy life and setting up home management and teaching teams how to handle public access and socialization really, really early sets them up for more success later than if we rush training at the very beginning. Because again, you can rush training as much as you want. You can absolutely do that. You're not going to have great success, but you can absolutely rush training. What you can't rush is how long it takes your dog to develop mentally and physically at a baseline dog level. You cannot rush that process. And when you do try and put the expectations of an adult dog body onto a puppy body, you are risking the dog's well-being, both physically and mentally. And I feel like a lot of teams don't know that. They simply aren't aware of it. So in no way is this me trying to call out owners or make anybody feel bad about what they've done or how they've raised puppies in the past. All I'm trying to do is bring awareness to this puppy class problem. I want owners to be safe. I want puppies to be safe. I want everybody to be approaching this with more thought and with the goal being, let's build the best puppy the best way that we can, as opposed to, okay, I got a deadline, we're going to meet it, let's go. Because that can lead to very serious problems later on. Thank you for listening to this post about puppy training. If you have any questions for me or you'd like to sign up for my puppy course or learn more about it, please send me a message.